Okay, Aaron, do you want to tell people about your recent video? Get the show rolling with that. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, that was an overdue errata that needed to be done. Just wanting to promote the idea that here on YouTube you have an ability to face your accusers, your critics. It had been suggested several years ago by a dear friend of mine who now runs a fundamentalist Christian Bible school. He told me that I should write a book, and I tried to explain to him that if you write a book, you don't hear from your detractors, and it needs to be a two-way conversation. You can't just take the floor and say your spiel and then not be corrected on it. There's a difference between the scientific perspective and the religious perspective. The scientific perspective cares how accurate the information is. And if it's not accurate, we don't care about it at all. We want to know how accurate it is. And where the religious perspective often blocks comments when they do YouTube, or they post in books rather than peer review, is because they are protecting this perspective from criticism. And that was the reason I did mine.
You also made a number of apologies and corrections, and highlighted a point I think that is worthy of mentioning. You don't often get many creationists making apologies, despite the fact that they ought to. Yeah, well, again,
I am toying with the idea that this may be a psychological issue endemic to religion. I mean, yesterday I met the author of The God Virus, and he was talking about the similarities of religion to a viral infection, and I see it a bit differently. I see behavioral links to prejudice and whatnot being ties to deep religiosity, and I want to make a distinction between deep religiosity and just a casual belief that could be culturally endowed. Those who have a deep religious conviction also have typically the curious notion that they are unable to admit any mistakes. And in my 12th FFOC, I commented about Sir Richard Owen, and that his critics, his contemporaries, complained that one of the problems they had with him was his curious inability to admit any error except by way of evasive maneuver. So coming up with some excuse so that it's not really his fault or what have you. And I see that as as a typical tie to the deep religious thought and the philosophy that goes with it.
So yes, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, sure. When I was watching Aaron Ron's video, one of the things he brought up was the fact that he promoted the article that was going around from NASA, the press release about the arsenic-based life, as somehow it was something new. I think that was your video, I hope. Got on this and said, NASA says this, we have new life, it might be what life we can find on Mars or elsewhere in the solar system, it's something we have to investigate. And really, it was just normal life that was taking something that they could bring into their cells and use instead of what they normally use. If you had read the article that the original journal had published, then you would have seen this is just what happens. If you bring them back to what they should use, then they automatically become the normal type of cell. It's been going around since yellow journalism. It's the media, when they have big money involved in it, they will publish whatever will get them more sales. They don't care about getting the truth. They care about getting the sensationalism. They care about getting their message across. And that's what my promo video was about. And I think we're getting that with science now. People want to promote the science that makes people want to buy the papers, but they don't care about the important stuff. So if something comes out and says, oh, we're having reduced cancer risk with this, you'll see headlines going, possible cure for cancer. It's just ridiculous anymore, and people need to go straight to the source rather than listening to the media about science and everything else. So that's it.
If you want to talk about that, please send me a message. But in the meantime, before we carry on with that, I've got the first caller. Have I had it in? Morris, are you with us?
Yeah, let me hand the microphone over to him. Granddad.
Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can indeed, sir. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm visiting my grandson today. Now listen, I watch a lot of these shows on PBS. I don't know if you get PBS where you are, but I watch a lot of shows like the science shows on Nova and some of these others. Now, my grandson, he's an atheist, but I'm a Christian. And when I see these shows talking about how the world was made and all that, I just don't see how it just could have come from nothing. When I look at this, I say, isn't it a wonderful world that God has built? Now, how can you say that, I mean, all this stuff, we got the deserts, we got the mountains, we got the snows. How in the world did it not just be designed when you take a look at it? I've never gotten a satisfactory answer.
I mean, my question would be, so your answer to that question then is that God created it, so God is more complex than everything that we see around. Well, if everything that exists has to have a creator, well, what created God? I mean, it's just, step it back one would be my answer to that. That and there are natural mechanisms for explaining what we see. And if you have a natural mechanism, a natural explanation versus a supernatural one, I mean, history has shown time and time again that the natural answer is more likely to be the correct one. So, does that answer your question at all? I mean, what created God?
We don't know what created God, but I'm talking about how, we got. I mean, look at this. How can you explain that just snowflakes? No two snowflakes look alike. If it was just a random possible of the crystals coming together, I mean, there would be a pattern. Every once in a while, you get the same snowflake over and over.
So you think that God creates each individual snowflake? That freezing and crystallization has nothing to do with that, because no two snowflakes, no two zebras, no two trolls,
I'm not talking about the freezing
anything.
part. I'm talking about the designs. The designs of the snowflake. I mean, if it was just random crystallizations, eventually you'd run into like two of them coming together sometime.
So this is all right. So this is divine crystallization. Then you're suggesting
divine crystallization. Yes.
So they're intelligently crystallized.
They're what?
They're intelligently crystallized. Are they irreducibly complex? By God, that's what you're suggesting, isn't it?
Well, I'm suggesting that if it was just random, we would have patterns, and that's what I'm saying.
No.
Or how about this? How about we never see two humans? I mean, even twins, there's difference. Like I got some nephews that are some twins, but there's still difference. I mean, one's got a freckle right on his nose that's, like Sputnik.
Yeah, I don't know who this is, but nice one. Now, let's...
no two trolls are alike.
Yeah. Let's move on. Okay, I'll speak to you afterwards.
I got the other show, dude.
I think that's our first proper troll.
Yeah, that wasn't a proper troll.